Hi, I'm really excited to be discussing this book with you today. So, this is My Body by Emily Ratajkowski, and it's actually a series of essays. And on the cover, she calls it a deeply honest investigation of what it means to be a woman. Uh, and, and it really is that. Emily is an internationally renowned model. She's graced magazine covers. She's done all the fashion shows that you can think of. She's even been in some movies. And if you're thinking, wait, hold on, do I know her? Do I remember her? Emily was actually in Blurred Lines, the video, I mean, the hit song, but she was in the video with Robin Thicke. And that video just went sensational for one very big reason. The men were all dressed fully clothed, in that video. And the women were basically like scantily dressed, in some cases, without any tops. And it sort of went viral and it sparked off a huge debate online about whether this video was like empowered or was it taking advantage of women, right? Was it the male gaze, like with these men in their suits and these skimpily dressed girls? So when Emily, who was very young at that point, was asked, what do you think about this video, participating in this video, she surprised a lot of people. At that point, she called it an empowering experience, right? And she said that I felt very good actually being in this video. I felt very sexy. I felt very beautiful. And so she found nothing wrong with it. And it was a surprising reaction for many feminists who were trying to sort of almost defend her or her, her being taken advantage of in this video. Now, cut to many many years later, Emily is sort of reflecting back on her very successful career as a model, and she's sort of saying that while I was very successful and while I hustled the system, I've come to realize that the system essentially was the male gaze. So I hustled within the system, I got successful, right? But it was all within the construct of success defined by men. And when I look back at many of these experiences, I feel that perhaps I wasn't as empowered as I thought I was. And she calls her, her writing and being able to articulate her views about those situations actually a true moment of empowerment. Now, this book has got some criticism from people who say, well, listen, you're criticizing the system, but you're still like in it, right? You're still a model in the system. And she says, well, politicians criticize the system and they are still in the system. So it's kind of the same thing. So, anyway, all those arguments aside, some of the stories that she tells in this book are like really very interesting. So, I'm going to give you a couple of anecdotes as, points of discussion. So there's one very famous story about how she posted a picture of herself on Instagram, which was taken by the paparazzi. And she's kind of walking outside a house and they're taking her picture. And she puts this big, like, floral arrangement and she hides her face. And so when that picture came out, she really liked that picture. So she took it off the internet and she put it on her Instagram account and put a caption. And she got sued by the paparazzi, right? Like she got sued for using that picture. And very ironic because they took a picture of her without her consent, although you can argue it was in the public domain because she was in a public place, and so that's fair. But it was a very interesting moment where she's actually getting sued for using that picture without permission. Equally, her life is dotted by these very interesting moments where she's had, when she was very young, a photographer did this photo shoot with her. It was quite a sexy photo shoot. She was in a lingerie, and at some point she took off, I think, some of the lingerie, and it was meant for this like artful purpose or this small, limited art show, or whatever her understanding of that was. But ultimately, when she became quite famous, the photographer decided to do an exhibition with these pictures and subsequently published a book as well. And she tried to stop it by saying that, listen, that's not what I thought we were doing the shoot for. We never had an understanding that you would do these exhibitions and publish this book. And a lot of people hit back saying, well, what did she expect? She posed in pictures like that. Did she really think that she was going to get any better treatment? So I think these kind of instances in her life have basically brought that question of like, how empowered are you? You are in this photo shoot, you are famous, your picture is like hung on a wall somewhere, but you don't actually own it. What's really interesting is Emily's perspective, which I think mirrors the experience of so many of us. She feels that like Instagram has been one place where she actually has been in control of her own image by putting pictures on Instagram, whatever they might be. It's her controlling her image and saying that's how I want to be viewed. And if you take a step back from Emily and you think of any of us, I think platforms like these are places where you see how you would like to be seen versus how somebody would like to see you. And like, I've been doing these videos now for like about 8 days. And I think the way I like the frame to be made, right? And the way I want to be seen, I'm putting more makeup today than I did on the first day, for example, because I feel like it looks a bit nicer. is very different from the person who's arranging the frame for me. And so it's my gaze versus somebody else's gaze. And I think that element of control is what I like having, right? So you have young women everywhere who are posting pictures on Instagram because they are actually trying to control how people see them, but yet they are at the mercy of the community guidelines, right? They're at the mercy of trolls who come in, like, kind of, make hateful comments and really tear them down for putting pictures that they would like to, they would like to convey about themselves. So within that ability to curate your own timeline comes a lot of problems as well. And as we're filming this, there is currently the comments period open for a very interesting case that Meta's oversight board is taking, which is about deep fakes of public figures, right? Pornographic deep fakes. And they want to kind of really hone in on what their policy around this kind of content takedown should be. And so while a lot of people are going to be discussing the technology and the impact, in the end, what does it boil down to for me? I feel like you already sometimes don't feel like you have control over your own image, right? Like, even if you curated that image to put it out on this platform, the platform has some control over it. The people who are looking at it have some control over it. So it's difficult to really truly feel empowered because the societal gaze is still like actually rewarding the male gaze, right? And so like people, so people also feel like even though I am curating it, like what's actually winning? Like, is the male gaze really winning? And then on top of that, now you've got these technologies that can take your likeness and like just put you in positions, and positions that you never consented to, and now you lose even more control of your image than ever before. And with, of course, social media and virality, it's going all over the place. So as a society and as people who work in tech like myself, what's the kind of good work that we can do to really say, listen, is this helping us or not? Like, is this good for us or not? Is it nourishing for society and for women in general or not? And I think these are really important questions. There's a Emily who still can say that she's profited of everything that has happened to her. So even the worst times of her life, perhaps she's managed to buy an apartment off it. She's got a son, she can do what she wants. But there will be enough people who will not have that story, right? Because they somewhere lost control of their images. A private image was put on the 4chan, non-consensual images were released. There's so much to do with, taking that picture, how you want that picture to be taken, and then where that picture ends up and what kind of control you have over that, and how that makes you feel at the end of the day. Okay, so in keeping with that theme, I want to recommend a book for kids. It's called Bodies Are Cool. And what I really, really like about reading some of these books with my daughter is that it's actually therapy for me, because I feel that, like, in my younger years, the magazine cover was like really that aspiration or maybe something you saw on TV, but it was that cookie cutter, very perfect figure, and you just aspired to be like that. And I think my friends who managed to kind of be in that, like, that perfect figure probably, I assume, felt better than what I did, but I always felt like I didn't really stack up. And what I like about this generation is that, like, they are being taught to actually accept like all different kinds of people and body types, and there is no like one true standard of beauty, or at least that's the attempt. So, curly hair, long hair, short hair, no hair, different skin tones, right? Like people with disabilities, people wearing glasses, like that's what it looks like, to be in a colorful society. And that's, they call it bodies are cool. So, bodies are cool. And for me, as somebody who's had not just had a child, but had a C-section surgery, and I've even had a spine surgery. So like I've been cut up, 2 times, and big ones. I really like it. It makes me feel a little bit good. I'm finding the page. It talks about faint scars, bold scars, stripes from getting big scars, marks that tell a story scars. Bodies are cool. And then there's one more page that talks about growing bodies, aging bodies, features rearranging bodies, magic ever changing bodies. Bodies are cool. And it's so nice to be able to be okay with who you are, however you are. I mean, that's the first step in terms of being able to change the narrative about what is beauty and what you need to spend your life trying to attain and what is true empowerment for you. So I hope this has been interesting watch. I really enjoy talking about it, actually. And as the mother of a daughter, I feel a lot of responsibility in how I understand this conversation and how I am able to frame it to her as she grows. So yeah, thank you so much.